All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Happy Friday. Hope you guys are doing well. We made it to the end of the week. Quick little reminder here before we get into the topic of today's video. I am going to be streaming with Brandon later today. Should be going live right around noon. Not a planned show. We were definitely planning on taking the month of June and probably July off, but things kind of went crazy over the last week in the NFL world, especially with the NFC West. So we're going to be doing an unexpected, unplanned show, talking about the Garrett stuff, Derek Hall, talking about where things go from here. I think you guys kind of get the idea. All right, so definitely tune in for that show. Going to be our last show for a while. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And I want to talk about OTA stuff because yesterday was the final open OTA session of the year for the Seahawks. And I think we have one more OTA. I'm not 100% sure about that. We might be done now. But either way, this is going to be the last one we have any real chance of getting any information from. So I do want to talk about it a little bit. I know we have the mandatory minicamp next week, though, so we will be getting new information soon. But just to talk about the OTAs, first, I want to recap some of the updates we got from 2 days ago that I missed because the video I recorded for the OTA session that day was uploaded literally like 5 minutes before this stuff came out. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch it. But some of the things from 2 days ago, Palani is currently I don't want to say in the lead to be the number one running back, but he is getting shots with the number one offense. That's something that Brady Henderson noted. Obviously, there's probably some working the rookie into it stuff, but I do think that Halani may factor in just as heavily to this offense as Price because Halani's going to be viewed as the third down back because he's a much better blocker and probably a better receiver, although that one's a little bit less clear. And with Charbonnet out, I think you're going to see a lot of Halani, and I'm cool with that. It's a good opportunity for him, but for the moment, Halani is getting his opportunities, and he will be viewed as, I think, about as important a part of this offense as Price until Charbonnet comes back. We didn't get any injury updates because McDonald didn't address the media like he did last week. We do have some injury things going on here. No indication that any of this stuff is going to really leak into the season, though. That doesn't mean it won't happen, right? Like, sometimes they don't talk about that stuff until it's right up close to the season. One thing going on with this team right now is that the tight end room is very beat up. Elijah Arroyo's not practicing right now. He did practice during the OTAs last week, though, so it's probably pretty minor. AJ Barner still not practicing. Eric Saubert still not practicing. So right now, tight end 1 is probably Harrison Bryant, and then tight end 2 is Nick Collerup. So that room is a little bit beat up, and it kind of explains why we signed Harrison Bryant. Even though we don't think that Harrison Bryant will make the team, I'm sure we want him around because we need a tight end in practice right now. Also not practicing would be Cable Dew, although he practiced last week, so again, probably minor. He's a backup anyway. Torrey Horton still not practicing as expected. Kenny McIntosh, I think that's expected as well. And also Josh Jones dealing with some stuff. So nothing too bad, but of note. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. We did have one new injury a couple days ago, and we know that this injury did bleed into the OTAs yesterday. Anthony Bradford dinged his knee, so it didn't seem like it was anything too bad. He stayed on the field, got an ice wrap that he eventually ditched, and was walking around fine, but he did not practice for the rest of the day that day, and I don't think he practiced yesterday either. Obviously not anything to be concerned about, but what is notable here is who replaced him. It was not Bo Stevens, it was Christian Haynes. So Christian Haynes actually got some right guard 1 reps, not Bo. And I think people may have been a little bit disappointed by that. I'm sure it's just kind of a thing where they're protecting the rookie. They don't want to put too much on the rookie's shoulders right now. I think the other side of it, though, is that Christian Haynes seems like he's just done. It's very hard to imagine Christian Haynes becoming a good NFL player at this point. He's been on the team for 2 years. He came into the league as an older player that was supposed to be pretty close to a finished product, and he's been virtually unplayable. So it kind of feels like the reps you give him now are just spinning your wheels a little bit. I mean, I understand that Christian Haynes is a guy that can have a little bit of value as a backup. Like, he's probably better than some backup offensive linemen out there, but I think there's a lot of excitement with Stevens right now. The hope that he can become the starter soon, or maybe even now. But they're going to play it cautiously, and I feel like Christian Haynes has an uphill battle to make the roster right now. I think that if we don't do something like an Oluwatimi trade, then Haynes is going to be he's going to be hard pressed. Another thing from 2 days ago, McDonald did get upset a couple times about players getting a little bit too physical. Getting into a point where they were more about competition, more about trying to one up the other guy. So we did get a little bit of that. Things got a little too heated, things got a little bit too chippy, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but we're not trying to get anybody hurt right now. We're trying to avoid that. And obviously, a little bit of injury stuff every now and then is going to happen. It's unavoidable, it's inevitable. But you look around the league right now, you see these other teams having pretty big injuries in OTAs. You want to try to stay away from that. Like the Lions lost Kendrick Law for the season. The Rams lost a couple of UDFAs that probably weren't going to make the team anyway for the season. You're trying to stay away from that. So we did get a little bit of that. Witherspoon is practicing light. I think this is something that I mentioned a couple days ago, but he is taking it easy right now. Again, he doesn't really need the reps. He is doing some stuff, but he's not doing the scrimmage stuff. We're seeing some Pritchett. We're seeing some Igbenogany. So that might be kind of the battle to keep an eye on here. Pritchett and Igbenogany. I don't think both guys can make the team. Some people also speculated that Witherspoon might be kind of not practicing in full because he doesn't have the extension yet. That's also possible. I don't know. I don't get the sense that there's any animosity there. I just kind of feel like Witherspoon's a player who has already been a little bit injury prone in his career, but has been so ridiculously good when he's played. That's not really a dude you need to be throwing out there in OTAs. He doesn't need it. We're fine. So this is yesterday now. Yesterday, we didn't get a ton of on-field stuff, which is consistent with 2 days ago. But let's talk about some of the things that we did get. We did get a few things. Cooper Kupp got interviewed at the podium, and he got asked some questions talking about some stuff. And he said some cool, insightful things about how much he likes it here. But I think the thing that the things that really stood out were, number one, he talked a little bit about Hard Knocks. Doesn't sound terribly excited. He admitted that it's going to suck. I don't think the players really like Hard Knocks that much. Cooper Kupp is a veteran, though. He should be able to tread through it better than most. Hopefully it doesn't create any problems for the team in any other capacity, but it is worth noting that he is aware of it. But he also had this talking about, and this is something that me and Brandon talk about a lot, actually, when we talk about the ebbs and flows of the NFL, talking about modern offenses utilizing more 2 tight end and 3 tight end packages. And he talked about how it's all a cycle, a dog chasing its tail, where the offense does something, the defense does something to adjust to account for it, then the offense does something to account for the defense's adjustment, and then the defense does something to, it goes back and forth over and over and over again into infinity. It's kind of like professional poker where the meta changes because everyone learns what the meta is and it can't be the meta anymore because everybody sees it coming. So it is, I think, a really good thing to keep in mind here. And it's cool to know that Cooper Kupp's aware of it. I think that there are some players that wouldn't be able to verbalize it the way that he does. It does speak to further evidence that he should probably be a coach one day if he wants to be a coach. If he wants it, I'd love to have Cooper Kupp as a coach at some level in our organization after he's done. And there was one other thing. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, here we go. I meant to put this with the initial flurry, but we also had this from Brady Henderson. Cooper Kupp was asked about retiring potentially after we won the Super Bowl in February. Cooper Kupp, by the way, just turned 33. He was pretty insistent that he never considered retiring. And obviously, what else is he going to say now, right? It would be weird if he didn't retire, but came back and was like, yeah, I almost did. But it sounds like a guy who really wants to be here. And one thing that I did talk about during the offseason was there is, I think, an immense desire to try to defend your title. It's one thing if you're a free agent and you have a chance to get more money elsewhere, like K9 or Kobe Bryant. But if you're an older player who can either just stay or retire, I think it's really hard to look at the opportunity to defend your title and say, no, I don't need that. I think there's an immense pull to go out there and try to prove it wasn't a fluke. So cool. And it does make me wonder what kind of conversation we're going to be having less than a year from now. Whatever happens this upcoming season for the Seahawks, how is Cooper Kupp going to feel about potentially retiring in 2027? And if he sticks around, would the Seahawks want him to stick around? Would they view him as being more valuable than just his numbers? And what would that look like? Interesting stuff to think about. We also got a little bit of Rylie Mills, this is cool, talking about the damage that he and Byron Murphy can do lining up next to each other. Rylie Mills sounds pretty amped up on what he can do for this team in 2026, and this is going to go a long way in determining what kind of position we're in after this upcoming season, because I'd be very surprised if Jarran Reed came back after this upcoming year. I think that he's coming back to defend the title, like I said, but once the title is defended one way or the other, I don't think he'll be looking to come back for 2027. He'll be in the last year of his deal. The Seahawks are going to save a lot of money if they let him go, and he's old. He's got miles on him. I do kind of view him as somebody that is almost certainly not going to be here beyond 2026. Rylie Mills, if he can show stuff this year, that can prove that he's ready to be a full-time part of the rotation. We don't necessarily need to move heaven and earth to replace Jarran Reed because we already have the replacement. So definitely intrigued to see what happens there. We also got some updates from AJ Barner about the injury that he's dealing with. He did get beat up last year. He did go through a couple of surgeries. He says he sounds great. He says he feels great. He says he feels way better. And he expects to be a really good player this upcoming year. So this is exciting to hear. Very hopeful about AJ Barner. In a league where blocking tight ends have become really valuable and kind of rare, he has a chance to be an elite tight end in this league. Maybe the numbers won't reflect it, and we don't need the numbers to reflect it. We're looking for somebody who can excel in both areas, and through 2 years, it seems like AJ Barner may be that guy. Oh yeah, this is the Cooper Kupp thing. This is the Bradford update. Did not practice yesterday, so he got hurt on, I guess it would be Wednesday, and did not practice yesterday. So doesn't seem like it's too big of a deal. He was walking around fine, and we are months away from this mattering at all. Anthony Bradford's not a rookie. He's played a lot of football in his life. He doesn't necessarily need every offseason rep. Again, I don't know who took his snaps today. I'm assuming it was just Christian Haynes again. I would be interested to see how Bo Stevens does in that right guard one role, though, and I hope he gets some reps at some point if Bradford isn't there to take him. A couple of highlights from Corbin here. A couple of notes about some of the defensive backs. Michael Dansby had a Willie Mays style basket interception, and he apparently looks really good in the defensive back drills. So Corbin kind of circled Michael Dansby as one of the intriguing late rookies, somebody that people aren't necessarily super hot to trot on, but seems to be doing some positive things. And he also called out Julian Neal having an interception as well. So both rookie cornerbacks doing stuff. Very cool. Some people were saying that Fuller had an interception. Corbin didn't see it. So not sure if that's true or not, but it seems like these young cornerbacks are doing their thing, and that can end up being really important. We are kind of thin there still. Like, getting Josh Joe back is great. Witherspoon obviously going to be here for a while, but it is worth noting that the cornerback spot is a little bit thin if you don't trust Nehemiah Pritchett. We are looking at guys like Julian Neal and maybe even Andre Fuller to get out there at some point this year if injuries happen. So seems like things are progressing about as well as you could have hoped. So that's great news. All right. I'm going to go and get on out of here. Like I said, streaming in a few hours with Brandon. Might be another video later, might not. I'm not sure if there are OTAs today. I feel like there are, but we'll see. Either way, I'll see you soon. Go Hawks. Everyone have a great rest of your day.